Hello everyone, hope you are all doing great. Today we'll discuss the poem Agony by Anil Gharai. Now, this is a poem of marginalization, of oppression, pain, and suffering. Anil Gharai belongs to the Dalit literature. He hails from Bengal. And in most of his poems, we find the pain of oppression, caste discrimination, suffering, poverty faced by the Dalit community in general. This particular poem, Agony, as the name suggests, it describes or represents the agony of the oppressed community that he belongs to. Now, when we read the poem, you'll get to know much better. There's a very important image that we find in this poem. That is the image of an old woman clutching on to the ration card and going to the ration shop every now and then to get at least something so that she can satisfy her hunger. So that is a prominent image, which stands for the entire Dalit community who are suffering, who are hungry, who are denied opportunities. We'll read the poem, Anil Garai's poem Agony. This is a tale told with difficulty. To whom do they belong, forest, land, or earth? On a wrinkled face and a famished body, the tricolor stings like a venomous asp. I need food. I need water. I need shelter amongst my people. The old woman crouches slowly to the closed ration shop with her stick. One moment of pause. She gasps for breath in sweltering heat, her BPL card blurred by sweat. She's a sketch in black and white of a poor, forlorn soul, trudging an aimless path with moistened eyes. The arid and around her promises ruin. Air is sick in early evening, and the early evening moon, a beguiling dream of forbidden pleasures of yesteryears, now returns to sting. Time ticks by, and the old soul forlorn fights with needs of rise, of hearth, of clothing, of festive frivolities and holy, mad splash of colors. Between the dream and the reality falls the shadow of pestilence, of a gradual decay in the ramshackle frame. Disease, deadly as Buddha's gall, burns the body, the mind, the soul, burning, burning, burning. The decayed house of a deprived nation, forever doomed like ancient women struggling to survive. So the poem very beautifully describes the pain and suffering of the Dalit community, and he uses a very pertinent images of suffering, of deprivation. This is a story told with difficulty. It's difficult because it is painful. Your tale, the tale or the story of the Dalit community is not always heard or said. They are silenced, their voices are stifled. So this is a tale which needs much courage to tell. It's with difficulty that I am trying to tell this tale of suffering. To whom do they belong? The Dalit community, the oppressed, the marginalized. Where do they belong? This was once their country, but now they are marginalized or displaced from their own native place. So whom do they belong to? To the forest, because now the forests are being cleared and they are being taken away from the forest. Land, their land was taken away, or earth, home. So where do they belong? To the forest, land, or earth? And then the image of this old woman with a wrinkled face and a famished body, very thin, hunger stricken body. And then immediately says, after giving the image of an individual woman, and then we find the image of the nation, the flag, the tricolor flag. It stings like a venomous asp. I know this strong poison of a snake. The nation stings like a poisonous as on this famished body, and to this deprived community, this nation uh, is not giving hope, is not giving shelter and protection, and is not looking at the welfare, but instead is filling the body, the body of of this old woman with venom. I need food, I need water, I need shelter amongst my people. So that is the need of this woman, not only of this woman, of the entire community who are deprived, who are marginalized. To the closed ration shop with her stick. So she crouches or bends very slowly. This old woman moves to the ration shop. She gasps for breath in sweltering heat. It's very hot outside. Her BPL card blurred by sweat. The card is sweaty. It's wet. She's a sketch in black and white of a poor, forlorn soul. She's very old, and it's as if she's a black and white picture, uh, trudging an aimless path with moistened eyes. Maybe she's crying, she is hungry, she is stricken. So all these images, show the marginalization and oppression faced by this particular community. The air, it is a dry air, air around her. The heat, it actually increases the heat. And then there is this image of this moon. Moon is always, it symbolizes hope, something new. So likewise, this independence, you can say, independence of this nation gave or filled the people with hopes. And here also the Dalit community, they were also hopeful. They were beguiled, or they were given false hopes. They thought that their life will be better when the nation attains independence. So there is this early evening moon, a beguiling dream of forbidden pleasures of yesteryears. So they thought that whatever they were forbidden, opportunity to study or to go for a job, of equality and all those things of yesteryears, they will be given that. This independence filled them with hope, but then they found out that that was false. That was false hope, beguiling or enchanting, but it is deceptive. The dream that they got, it was deceptive. A beguiling dream of forbidden pleasures of yesteryears now returns to sting. So those things, now written, the nation returns to sting rather than fulfilling the promises and dreams of these people. Uh, it stings. This tricolor or the nation stings. Then time ticks by, and the old soul forlorn fights with me. So as days go by, their situation doesn't change. This poor forlorn souls, these poor people, they still fight for the basic needs. For food, water, and shelter. Fights with the basic needs of rice, of food, of earth, or shelter, and of clothing. Or festive frivolities, on the other hand, there's this festive frivolities of different color, the mad splash of color, but there is this another community who suffers. Between the dream and the reality falls the shadow of pestilence, and between that, this shadow of pestilence or some contagious disease. So, here the reference is, or the pestilence, which stands for the contagious disease of caste discrimination or oppression, marginalization. So it follows like the shadow of pestilence and of gradual decay, and it is as if it is cankerous, and it causes gradual decay in the ramshackle, in that fragile framework of the nation. Disease deadly as the wood ant's gall, and gall is a poison, the poison of this the wood ant. This discrimination, this caste discrimination is also a disease, a pestilence, which will gradually destroy the nation. Ant's gall burns not only the body but the soul and the mind. It burning, it echoes Eliot's wasteland, burning a wasteland. And then also Saint Augustine's Confessions, where he talks about this cauldron, which is which boils, and he talks about sin. So here what is being talked about is caste discrimination and oppression faced by this Dalit community, and it is a deadly disease which burns the body, soul and mind from within. The all the three elements, the body, the mind and the soul, they burn in this gall, in this poison of caste. The decayed house of a deprived nation, another beautiful image of this nation which is deprived. And the decayed house, or the decayed house, represents the Dalit community, who are marginalized, who are denied opportunity to live with equality. So burning, burning, and burning the decayed house of a deprived nation, forever doomed like ancient women struggling to survive. The ancient women struggling at the hand of a patriarchal society. Likewise, here now, even in the modern times, this particular community, this marginalized community, they strive hard. They try to survive. They are struggling to survive, where there is this upper caste dominance of Brahminical dominance in this particular society. So, in that, like the ancient women who were struggling very hard to live in a patriarchal society, the Dalit community is striving very hard to meet their basic needs of rice, of earth, of clothing, of food, shelter, and clothing. So, they are fighting for their basic needs. So, this is what the poem is all about. He talks about the sufferings of the Dalit people and how they are deprived in a very beautiful language, how they are displaced from their own country, and how they can't identify with anyone. They can't say, or they can't point out to a place and say that that is their homeland. So they were taken away from their homeland, or their homeland was taken away from them. And now the nation stings this community as a venomous asp. And this caste discrimination affects the nation like a wood ant's gall, which burns the body, soul, and the mind, and uh, causes damage and decay to the nation as well. So please go through the questions here. So there are a few questions like give synonyms for famish. Famish means to starve, starving, famished. Crouch, that is to bend, crouch. Trudge or plod or tramp. And antonyms means opposite. Arid means dry and the opposite is wet. Decay, opposite is growth. And struggle, calm you can say. Use in sentence of your own. Swelter, blur, forbidden. Please write sentences for that. Why has the tale to be told with difficulty? Because they are not given voice. Their voices are silenced. They can't give rise, or there is no media which talks about their life. There is no writer coming up. There is no politician who talks for them. What are the basic needs of the poor woman? Food, shelter, and clothing. And then explain the line. She's a sketch in black and white. There is no color in it. And also it is very clear. It's pretty clear. It's black and white. It's pretty clear that she is a woman who is struggling very hard in a patriarchal and also caste dominated society, where she can't find her basic needs and nobody supports her. What is the aim of the old woman? To get something, some food, the basic needs. What could be the primary reason for the woman's suffering? Caste. Just because she's born into a particular community, she's suffering. How does the poet describe the physical features of this woman? A very old, ramshackle body, famished. Comment on the deprivation faced by this old woman. Again, the same thing. What is the irony contained in the line? Her BPL card, blurred by sweat. So actually, this card, card which promises her something, some food, but again, it is blurred by the sweat, the heat of the sun, the heat of the nation, the heat of the caste discrimination. So even with that, she can't get enough food from the ration shop. She's being forced to visit the shop often. She's not given her amount ration which is due to her. what are the sufferings undergone by the old woman, how she is being neglected, she is asked to come often, and so on. How does a poem become a critique of the indifference of the world towards the Dalit community? So, with the help of this image of this old woman, the poet talks about how this particular community in general is treated with much indifference. And Garai has used a whiplash against the inefficient political bureaucracy and the supremacy of the upper class. Elaborate, how this, through the image of this old woman, how she couldn't get the ration that she is supposed to get it, and also how the upper class community oppressed the natives of this land. So please go through this poem, and if you have any doubts, please post it. It's a very beautiful poem, but gives a very poignant message and gives a voice to the unheard people of this community. Thank you.